Hi everyone, it's Marina from Brilliant Vinyl, and today we're talking about printable heat transfer vinyl. We have the StarCraft InkJet printables for dark materials and the StarCraft InkJet printables for light materials. They look really similar, but their application process is quite a bit different. So today we're going to be talking about how to use each one. Okay, so the first thing that you notice about these two products is that the for dark materials can be identified by its red text instructions, and on the backing of each sheet it is labeled StarCraft for dark materials. For light materials is green, and it is also labeled on the back as well. So let's start with for light materials. This one can be a bit challenging if you've never worked with it before. So we have our white garment here. Now it's StarCraft for light materials, but I will tell you the lighter the material, the truer your image will show on your garment. Traditionally, printers don't print white ink, so any white from the design is actually coming from the garment. So you want to keep that in mind, because if you choose a light pink or a light blue garment, then whatever that is in your design that is white will be that light pink or will be that light blue. So keep that in mind. So I've chosen a design today that I thought would look really good on this shirt, and it is red, black, and white. So like I said, anywhere that you see white in here is going to come from the t-shirt. So you'll notice right away that I've mirrored the image. When you're working with for light materials, the first thing that you want to do once you've completed designing your image is make sure you mirror it. This has to be mirrored because it is going on the garment face down. So make sure that you mirror for light materials only, okay? The next thing that I'm going to do, and you do not have to do this, but you certainly can, I'm just going to trim it down a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of cut around my design and just trim it down a little bit. I find it helps just to make sure that there's no extra adhesive or anything like that left behind on my shirt. So I'm just going to trim this down a little bit. Nothing too neat, just enough trimming to get the job done. Okay, easy peasy. All right, now I am going to move over to the heat press so that I can get my shirt set up. First, I want to get my heat press set up. And what do I mean by that? I want to make sure that I have the correct time and temperature programmed into my heat press, which I do. This material has to be pressed at 375 degrees for 30 seconds. Now, I have it set to about 378. Because I know that as soon as I close it, it's going to drop a few degrees. So I'm just going to leave it set at 378. It's ready right about now. And then I'm going to do that for 30 seconds. Time, temperature, and pressure are so very important with for light materials. You have to make sure you check each one of those things. So I've checked my temperature. I've checked my time. The next thing I want to do is check my pressure. For light materials requires very heavy pressure. So, how do I know that I have heavy pressure? Well, first I should struggle a little bit to close this, kind of like that. And then when I put a piece of paper in, I should not be able to move that paper at all. If I can move the paper, I'm probably going to need to crank up my pressure. Whew, that's heavy pressure. Okay. So I'm going to put my garment down. All right, now I'm going to take my image and I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to kind of line it up. And once I have it where I want it, I'm just going to use a little bit of heat transfer tape just to hold it in place. I don't want to use a lot because as soon as this is done, I need to be able to take this image right off the shirt. Because for light materials, you want to peel the backing when it's hot. So I have to be prepared to peel it when it's hot, and it does get hot. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to press this for 30 seconds now. Ooh. Okay, that comes off. And then immediately I start lifting up this design and peeling it while it's hot. The tape really keeps it in place, so I'm trying to peel it without burning my hand. And if you have maybe heat gloves or anything like that, so you can save your precious fingers, you can definitely use that. But you do want to peel it while it's hot. So then what I'm going to do is, it came out beautifully. The colors are beautiful. I can see like a little bit of texture right around here. So I'm going to take my Teflon sheet. I'm going to put it on top of here, and I'm just going to press down one more time. But immediately the texture goes away. And that's what I wanted. So now it feels so nice and so smooth and so hot. Let's take a look at it overhead. So here is our finished product. So this is for light materials. And as you can see, it transferred the ink on here beautifully. It feels so nice and smooth. That second press really helped with that. And then of course, you know, once it's washed, then you'll definitely feel a difference there. Also, I really like using for light materials. This is a great alternative to sublimation. If you don't have a sublimation printer, this works with a standard inkjet printer. Okay, so next we're going to be using StarCraft for dark materials. The first thing that you're going to notice is that you don't mirror anything. So this particular vinyl has a white backing that actually sits on top of the shirt. So it's not a transfer of ink like it was for light materials. The ink is actually printed on the vinyl, and the vinyl sits on top of the shirt. So when you are trimming something like this, you may want to use your cutting machine because the white in the design is going to show. The other thing that you might want to take into consideration is, if I were to cut out each of these letters, in order to transfer it from the paper backing to the actual garment, I would need a carrier sheet. We do sell the carrier sheets separately. They are on our website listed as the TTD Easy Mask and the TTD High Tack Mask. And you would need those in order to lift everything off this paper backing and then transfer it onto the garment. I'm going to just cut this out as one whole piece with my cutting machine, so I'm not actually going to worry about the TTD Easy Mask today, but I can show you in a later video how I would go about using that if you're interested in seeing that. So let's go ahead and cut this out, and then we will come back and begin the application process. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I had to shrink the design just a little bit in order to get it to work with the print and cut. So I did the print and cut feature using the Silhouette machine because I wanted it to be as large as possible. So I went with the Silhouette rather than the Cricut Design Space. So now that I have printed it out in the print and cut format, I went ahead, I let the Silhouette cut it all out. And now I'm just going to weed it. So I'm going to weed the backing, and you can see here the vinyl that I'm able to weed away. So we didn't have to do this before with the for light materials, but there is some weeding involved with the for dark materials. Let me just continue to weed this away. And there we go. And so this is what I mean when I say it has a white backing to it. So the image is actually printed on top of the vinyl. So this vinyl is just going to sit right on top of this colored shirt. So if I hadn't cut it out nice and neat, then I'd be able to see all of the little, cut marks from the way that I cut this one out. So when you're using the for dark materials, if you can use the print and cut, go ahead and use that. And if not, then just be really, really careful when you trim. I also ran and got a piece of our TTD Easy Mask just to kind of show you what it looks like. It looks very familiar to you if you've ever used any of the Caesar StarCraft HTVs, because it is the clear carrier sheet that is on top of those. Let's see if I can take this all off in one piece. thing that I want to do is I want to change my temperature settings. So instead of 375 degrees, now I want to be at 350 degrees, but I'm still going to press for 30 seconds. The other thing that's going to be different is I am going to ease up on the pressure. I do not need as heavy a pressure when I am dealing with for dark materials, so I'm going back to medium pressure. I am going to take my Teflon sheet, I'm going to cover it up, and I'm going to go ahead and press for 30 seconds. Okay, we'll pull back our Teflon sheet. And there you go. This one is the for dark materials. So you can see how it has the white base and the colors just sit on top of the white base. And this one, of course, was the for light materials. They're both great alternatives to sublimation, to having to weed. You know, imagine if you cut this out in vinyl, could it be done? Yes, you would lose some of the shading and different things like this. So when you have those intricate designs, working with for dark materials or for light materials may be the way that you want to go. If you have any more questions about working with either one of these wonderful products, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're available on Facebook, we're available on TikTok, we're available on Instagram. You can send us an email, you can even pick up the phone and give us a call. We're happy to answer any questions you have about these two wonderful products or any of the fantastic products we carry. We'll see you next time.